We're here today with Andreas Schieder, a member of the European Parliament, and he is Vice President of the URBAN Intergroup at the European Parliament. Mr. Schieder, thank you so much for being with us here today. Could you please tell us the scope of the work that you do as the Vice President for the URBAN Intergroup at the European Parliament?
Yeah, maybe hello to you and everybody. Maybe also explain a little bit my personal political background.
Yes.
As I years ago, but I spent 10 years in the district parliament of Vienna, which is a province and a city, Vienna, Austria, and so therefore I am very much delighted to urban politics, because I'm strictly convinced that a lot of the questions which our societies has to answer have to be answered also locally in the cities. And as which was the 90s and the 0 years, I also chaired in the district council the urban planning and the European Affairs Committee. So I'm also convinced that there is a strong linkage between European and urban issues. So therefore, when I came to the European Parliament, I discovered that there is an urban intergroup, and I engaged myself there. So for those which don't know, an intergroup is a parliamentary committee, but not, let's say, like the normal committee. So it's not doing European laws and other things, but it's an officially recognized body of the parliament, which is mainly exchanging issues. So what we are doing recently is, of course, observe all the European policies and looking on them with urban perspective. So Green Deal and other ones. And of course, we want to be also a platform of exchange. So between the several actors, the European Parliament, of course, the other European bodies like the European Commission, but also people from Eurocities and other associations, and also individual cities which join us, or politicians, mayors, and others. It is about getting information, but it's also about, of course, getting to know what kind of policy is needed in order to have our cities well developing. So this is in a nutshell what we do.
Well, thank you so much for that response. How does putting urban needs on the agenda of EU policy fit in with the new Green Deal?
I think the Green Deal is extremely important. It's about the next generation and also how we live, and we have to take decisions now. Otherwise, we will be too late as a society. 1.8 million billions of the budget is dedicated to the Green Deal, and I think it is important to cut the CO2 emissions by 2030. What we call now Fit for 55, which is the goal of the European Commission. Originally, the European Parliament even asked for 60% reductions, but I think also the 55 is quite all right. So the Fit for 55 package is a good start. Anyway, this will be a long journey until we will finalize all the law which are important. And therefore, as I said before, we have to work fast, prioritize our fighting and in the battle against the climate change, because the news, like this summer again, was the hottest summer since recording, and other issues, of course, is important. And then when you now ask me about urban intergroup, this is exactly the issue, because in cities, of course, they are like an oven during summer. So also we need funding and possibilities for city to react on it. There is a lot of levels which we have to do, from CO2 taxes until, of course, greening, forest strategy, cooling down the cities by greening facades, less traffic, maybe pushing for bicycle and so on. So this all is about.
Right, and one of the things to make a city more green, of course, is sustainable construction. And so what would you say is needed to be done to achieve sustainable construction in urban areas, for example, in areas of housing and in regard to environment and energy efficiency?
I think housing is a big social issue
Mm,
because it is a basic demand. Everybody has a right to have a roof above its head, like we say in German at least. I don't know if in English any similar say is existing, but everybody has the right to have a home.
yes.
And a home must be affordable and should not be the, let's say, the first step into your bankruptcy,
Hmm.
which is in a lot of society it is. So we have to, this I think is extremely important. And secondly, of course, housing sector is important to the climate. So when we do something, it must be also combined with the social issue. So therefore, I think we need a lot of public funding to have green and social housing as once, because also then the climate issue is not that, let's say, the small income people paying the higher price, while the other ones have their nice villas with swimming pools, air condition and everything, and you're living in your 10 lorries house. So we have to find this, that is it. It's also about decent life conditions.
Yeah.
Too long we were ignoring a lot of poisoning materials and other issues. And of course, we have to think the impact on the climate, which is looking also what materials we use. Cement industry is one of the big CO2 producers. And
Hmm.
secondly, we have also to look how long we use things. So sustainability over generations, over life cycles. So must be housing for older and younger ones, whatever is the part. And must be also a duration and not a problem after 50 years when you deconstruct it. And we have to, I think we should invest more money in renovation of urban areas
Yep.
to green and tighten them up. There are a lot of projects. You can put balconies, you can put green facades, you can put, of course, solar cells on the roof and other issues. You can, I think, still in the world, most houses don't have isolated glasses, so a lot of heating. You can use also, of course, integrate already modern green heating system and things like this. There is a lot of know-how, and I appreciate very much what the idea was of President von der Leyen saying we need a new Bauhaus, which I understood it is to concentrate all the knowledge which is there on having sustainable housing and construction and so on. But we have to be clear. As long as we allow our market society only looking at the price and on the profit, we will not work it out. So also as long as when you see at the big mega cities, also in Europe,
Hmm.
the huge towers for housing are sometimes only half rent and the other half is just in the portfolio of some investment funds, insurances or whatever, and not used for housing. And this, I think we have also to tackle this issue because it is from a social and a resource point of view unacceptable.
Right, yeah. So you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but how does all of this sustainable construction fit in with the goals of sustainable development that in urban areas that the Urban Intergroup holds?
I think what the Urban Intergroup can do is also provide a lot of know-how and best examples.
Right.
We are organizing a workshop in some weeks online on Green Deal and urban areas with some politicians in order also to collect examples what some cities were doing. And the best thing is to copy from each other the best ideas. So
Right.
I think urban policy is about stealing ideas also. Usually intellectual property is protected, but here we ask everybody, please steal the best
Yeah.
ideas. So I think this is important to do and to understand. But at the end, as I don't know, 75%, even more of the people in Europe living in cities, we have to understand that an urban strategy for the Green Deal is crucial. because there is housing, as you mentioned, there is public transport, there is the transport issue as whole, which we all have to tackle. So I would say beside industry and production, urban strategy is the most important to get the climate under control, and also to allow people to live also in the next 20, 30 years under decent conditions.
Right, decent. Yeah, exactly. So other than gaining consensus, what other great barriers are there to overcome when it comes to sustainable development in urban areas and incorporating the idea of sustainable construction? And how would you recommend to overcome these barriers?
I would say the barriers, of course, especially in city, there is always big money, as I explained before, speculation and housing speculation, and this kind of thing. And of course, this is in contradiction to a green goal.
Yeah.
Because uncontrolled market forces are not looking on the environment, neither on the social situation. So therefore, we have to be also clear, we need some regulations. Strictly. It is not only about best example, it is also about, of course, at the end, knowing which regulations we can put. And this, of course, then you have to put in national or even regional and urban laws, also some rules where say this is the maximum of whatever construction and other issues. You have, of course, when we speak about traffic, for example, urban traffic, it's about investing in public transport. But as we have only limited space, we have to decide if there is going a tram, a bus, individual cars, or bicycles. We will probably not have enough space to have everything. So sometimes you have also to decide, okay, this time we take the public underground and no space for cars, or this is a pedestrian area. Walkable cities is also another solution. So these are issues.
Brilliant. Okay. This is the last question. I'm sure you're keeping a close eye on COP26. How do you see the discussions progressing at this meeting, and what would you like to see from policymakers in building a consensus at the end of the meeting?
What I see is everybody speaking about the green issue. And every company or everybody's, let's say, also trying to prove that they are on the green track. But the situation proves this can't be true. Otherwise, the climate situation would be different. So some are lying and cheating or greenwashing themselves. And I think this is extremely important in front of COP26, not to allow that we are falling in a, let's say, global feeling of, we are all green, and we end up that nothing happened. We have to be clear. It is about decisions. Probably not all hard decisions can be taken because there are also other negative impact, but we have to push. We have to push very strongly to take also decision. And I would expect for COP that also the European Union has its proposal for a CO2 tax border adjustment mechanism ready. So also to be one frontline example for the global world, this could be one, because I think Europe made a big step with the 55 plan, showing that we have clear plans, but now we have to also show that we are willing to take one after the other step to impose this issue. So, and the one problem is, like always in politics, but here is specifically some decisions, we will see the results only years or decades later.
Right.
So there is not an immediate benefit. Maybe also the negative impact is quicker than the positive impact, but therefore you need politicians, as on the streets people would say, with balls. So politicians which are able to decide and take also the responsibility and not only looking on, let's say, opinion polls.
Right. Well, thank you so much for all your answers. The Center for Sustainability, Innovation, and Good Governance really appreciates you taking the time and doing this interview with us.